Jai Shri Ram. So now we start with Canto 13. Further tormented by Kaikai through her importunity to have the boons granted by the emperor implemented, the latter piteously wails his lot and reproaches her. The sun having set in the meanwhile, the emperor continues till the following morning his solicitations to Kaikai to allow Ram to be installed as Prince Regent. But Kaikai, remaining adamant, the king, in his extreme anguish of mind, sinks down unconscious on the floor and, on regaining his consciousness, stops all music pertaining to the occasion of the king's quitting his bed. The dauntless queen Kaikai, who was evil incarnate, nay, whose object had not yet been accomplished, and who scented mischief to Bharat and Ram's installation, once more addressed the same good monarch who did not deserve such callous behavior from the queen and was lying in an unseemly manner like Yayati, fallen from heaven on the exhaustion of his merit that had earned him a dwelling in heaven. You brag, O monarch, that you are veracious and faithful to your vows, yet wherefore do you seek to withhold the aforesaid boons standing to my credit? Scolded thus by Kaikai on that occasion, however, King Dashrath remained unconscious, as it were, for an hour or so, and then angrily replied as follows: Alas, when have I have breathed my last on Ram, a jewel among men, having left for the woods. Rejoice with your wish fulfilled, O unworthy woman, inimical to me. Actually, inquired after the welfare of Ram by gods even in heaven. Alas, how shall I bear to hear the words that will be uttered by them by way of reproach on being told that he was banished by me? If I tell them this fact, that Ram was exiled by me to the forest, eager as I was to oblige Kaikai, the other announcement will turn out to be false. In any case, I cannot escape being censured by the gods for falling back upon my words. In the person of the highly glorious Ram, an eminent son was procured with great exertion by me, issueless as I was. How can he be forsaken by me? How can the lotus-eyed Rama, who is valiant and learned, has conquered anger and is given to forgiveness, be sent into exile by me? How shall I send to the Dandak forest the long-armed Ram, who is cerulean as a blue lotus, is endowed with extraordinary might, and is so lovely? How shall I bear to see the sad plight in the form of exile of the talented Ram, who deserves all comforts and is unworthy of suffering? If my demise were possible in any way without inflicting suffering on Ram, who is unworthy of suffering, I should derive joy thereby. O hard-hearted Kaikai of sinful resolve, why do you place my darling Ram in an unwelcome predicament? This repute, which has no parallel anywhere, will surely encompass you on all sides. While he was wailing aforesaid, his mind being utterly confused, the sun sank below the horizon and the night set in. That night, graced as it was with the orb of the moon, did not at that moment illumine the heart of the distressed and wailing monarch. Hurtful as it was by, sighing dolefully all through the night, the aged King Dashrath piteously wailed like an ailing man, his eyes directed towards the heavens. He said, O night, embellished with stars, I do not wish you to be converted into dawn, for Ram will have to be exiled as soon as the day dawns. Let the compassion be shown to me, O blessed one. Salutation is hereby offered by me with joined palms to you. Or let yourself be gone quickly. I wish no more to see the ruthless and hard-hearted Kaikai, to whom I owe my present adversity. However, having told Kaikai thus, the emperor, who knew the duties of a king, whisked the expedients of conciliation, etc., then proceeded with joined palms once more to conciliate Kaikai in the following words: Let favor be shown, O good queen, to my wretched self, guileless of conduct and fallen at your mercy, whose span of life is well nigh exhausted. and more so to a king. Indeed, this viz. Rama's installation was not announced by me in a lonely quarter, O lady with lovely limbs. Show abundant grace to me, O young lady, kind hearted as you are. Be gracious to me. Let my Ram inherit the everlasting kinship granted by you. O fair queen, you will thereby attain the highest renown. Do this kindness to me, to Ram, to the people, to our elders, Vashishta and others, as well as to Bharat. O lady with well proportioned limbs and a charming countenance and eyes. Even on hearing the piteously worded, doleful wail of her wretched husband, Dashrath, of guileless mind, consisting as it did of threats mixed with coaxing, whose eyes had turned coppery through grief and were wet with tears, the hard hearted queen of malicious intent did not accede to his request. Perceiving his beloved queen still unpropitiated and speaking in a hostile strain, insisting as she was on his son's exile, the aforesaid king thereupon fainted once more and, full of agony, sank down unconscious on the floor. While the high minded king, who was full of extreme agony, was dolefully sighing, that night stole past, when being awakened by panegyrists and bards, etc., the said Dashrath, the foremost of kings, stopped the festal music, started with a view to rousing him at that moment. Thus ends Canto 13 in the AYODHYAKAND of the glorious Ramayan of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Now we come to Canto 14. Citing other instances of the king's emperor's fidelity to truth and threatening to lay down her life in the event of his not carrying out her wishes, Kaikai insists on his sending Sri Ram into exile at once and does not desist from her purpose even when rallied at by her husband. In the meantime, Sumantra makes his appearance in the Gynecium and, extolling the emperor, reminds him of his intention to install Sri Ram as Prince Regent and eventually leaves the Gynecium in order to summon Sri Ram at the instance of the emperor. Perceiving Dashrath descended in the line of Ikshvaku, fallen unconscious and tossing about on the floor, afflicted as he was with great grief caused by the thought of impending separation from his eldest son, the wicked Kaikai spoke as follows: Having promised a boon to me, as though you had perpetrated a sin, why are you lying dejected on the floor? You ought to keep to the bounds of morality set up by your forefathers. For men, knowing what is right, speak of truthfulness as the highest value. Nay, you have been urged by me to your duty, because I take my stand on truthfulness alone. Having made a promise to a hawk that he would part with his own flesh, equal in weight to the dove that had sought his protection against the hawk, and offering his body to the bird in exchange for the dove, King Saibia, a ruler of the whole world, attained the highest destiny. Plucking out his own eyes, the glorious king Alarka likewise gave them remorselessly to a Brahman who had mastered the Vedas and had asked for them. Wedded to the vows of truthfulness, the ocean, the lord of rivers, for its part, does not, even at the time of flow tide, transgress its limit even to a small extent because of its respect for truth. Truth is Brahma, denoted by the monosyllabic Om. Sorry. Virtue is rooted in truth. The immortal Vedas represent truth alone. Nay, the supreme is attained through the truthfulness. Firmly adhere to truthfulness. If your mind is set on piety, let the aforesaid prayer of mine be granted, since you are bestower of boons, O noblest king. In order to attain the coveted fruit of righteousness, as well as in compliance with my request, send your eldest son into exile at once. Indeed, I speak to you thrice about it. If you do not implement this stipulation with me, O worthy king, then, forsaken, neglected by you, I shall lay down my life before you. Importuned thus by Kaikai, who had no scruple in her mind about what she was doing, the king could not unite the cord of plighted word that fettered him, any more than Bali could unloose the noose placed round his body by Indra through his younger brother, Lord Vamana, in order to deprive him of his sovereignty of the three worlds. Like a bullock struggling to escape on finding itself between two wheels of a cart, he got agitated at heart and his countenance grew pale, unable as it were to see with his bedimmed eyes, and controlling himself with great difficulty by recourse to fortitude, the king spoke to Kaikeyi as follows: I fully disown, O wicked woman, your hand, which was once clasped by me in the presence of the nuptial fire when it had been consecrated by uttering the sacred text, as also your son, Bharat, begotten by me along with you. The night has already fully elapsed, O queen. Perceiving the sunrise, people will surely urge me to expedite the projected installation of Ram as Prince Regent. But as I am not going to survive any longer, Ram should be made to offer water to me when I have breathed my last, by means of the requisites for the consecration of Ram collected for the purpose. If, as you say, you interrupted the installation of Ram, O woman of evil conduct, no water should be offered to me, to my departed spirit by you, including your son. Having seen people with that joy writ large on their expression before, I am unable to see them bereft of merriment and devoid of joy, and with their face hung down. On the contrary, today, while that high-souled monarch was speaking aforesaid, the holy night with its garland of moon and the stars passed and was followed by dawn. Overwhelmed with anger, Kaikeyi of vicious conduct, who knew how to speak, thereupon addressed the following pungent words to the king once more. Why do you utter such words, hurtful as poison and disease? You ought to summon your son Ram here without being agonized. You will have done your duty by me only when you have installed my son Bharat on the throne, sent Ram into exile to roam about in the woods, and rid me of thorns in the shape of all hostile elements. Importuned again and again by Kaikeyi, like an excellent horse lashed with a sharp whip, the king made the following reply: I stand bound with the cord of mortality, and my judgment is lost. I, therefore, wish to see my eldest and beloved son, the pious Ram. Meanwhile, when on the night being over, the sun had risen, and the sacred hour of propitious for the installation had duly arrived, nay, when the moon got united with an unfavorable lunar mansion, viz. Pushya, sage Vashishta, who is endowed with rare virtues, hastily entered Ayodhya, the foremost of cities, accompanied by his pupils, and taking with him all the requisites connected with the installation. Passing through the aforesaid city, whose streets had been watered and thoroughly swept, which had been decorated with excellent buntings, and was thronged with overjoyed women, which consisted of marketplaces stocked with abundant commodities, and was marked with great festivities, which eagerly longed for the installation of Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, and was fumigated on all sides with incense of sandalwood and aloe, nay, which vied with Amravati, the capital of Indra, the ruler of gods. The glorious sage beheld the gynecium, which was decorated with rows of flags of every description, and crowded with citizens and people hailing from the countryside, nay, which was graced with Brahmans and fully packed with liveried servants, carrying a staff and excellent horses richly adorned. Having reached the said gynecium, the highly delighted Vashishta, surrounded as he was with great rishis, overpassed that crowd standing outside and arrived in front of the gate. At the gate of the gynecium, however, he saw the charioteer cum minister of Dashrath, a lion among men, Sumantra by name, who had a pleasing appearance and had just come out of the gate. The highly glorious Vashishta said to that wise son of a charioteer, Please announce at once to His Majesty that I have turned up. Here are gold pitchers containing the water of the holy Ganga, as well as that from various seas. An excellent seat of Udumbra wood has been brought for the use of Ram at the time of consecration. All kinds of seeds required for the consecration and fragrant substances, as well as precious stones of every description, honey, curds, the ghee, parched grains of paddy, blades of darba grass, flowers of the prescribed varieties, milk, nay, 8 charming virgins, and a good elephant in rut, a splendid gold chariot drawn for 4 horses, a special kind of sword called Trimsha, an excellent bow, a palanquin with bearers, and a white umbrella resembling the moon, nay, a pair of white chowries, and a jug of gold, also a white bull, and a large hump with a large hump on its back, and tethered with gold chains, as well as a lion with 4 canine teeth, a highly spirited excellent horse, a throne with a pair of lions made of the same material for its charm, a tiger skin, and small wooden sticks for feeding the sacrificial fire, as well as fire, nay, all varieties of musical instruments, courtesans and other women decked with ornaments, teachers and other Brahmins, cows, the sacred beasts and birds, the foremost of citizens, and people hailing from the countryside, as well as merchants along with their followers, these as well as many other loving people, speaking kind words, await at the door along with the kings, eager as they are to witness Ram's installation. Request the emperor to take time by the forelock so that Ram may ascend the throne when the sun has fully risen and the moon gets united with the constellation named Pushya. Having the aforesaid message of sage Vashishta, the very mighty Sumantra, the son of a charioteer, entered the gynecium once more, glorifying Dashrath, a tiger among men. The attendants too, who were esteemed of the king and were ever keen to please him, dared not stop him, senior as he was in years as well as in wisdom, and had already been permitted to see him whenever he would. Stationed beside the king and ignorant about the aforesaid helpless plight of the monarch, Sumantra made up his mind to glorify him in most pleasing words. Standing with joined hands as before in the king's gynecium, Sumantra, the charioteer, then extolled the emperor as follows: even as the ocean gladdens the heart at sunlight, glorious as it is in the sunshine, pray, gladden us with your delighted mind, being delighted by yourself thereby. At this very hour of sunrise, Matali, Indra's charioteer, extolled Indra, the ruler of gods, with the result that the latter conquered all the demons on the field of battle. So do I glorify you. Even as the Vedas, along with grammar, etc., as well as the sciences such as the science of archery guide in the work of creation, the self-born Lord Brahma, the creator, so do I awaken you to your duty today. Even as the sun, along with the moon, arouses the people of the blessed earth, which sustains the entire creation, the sun while rising and the moon while setting, so do I arouse you today. Having dressed and adorned yourself in consonance with the festal occasion and shining brightly with your effulgent personality, rise, O very great monarch, like the sun of Mount Meru. May the gods, moon, sun, Shiva, Kubera, Varuna, Agni, and Indra bestow upon you victory, O descendant of Kakushta. Night, the goddess is gone. All things desired by you are done. Now get up, please, O Lion among Kings, and pay your attention to the following program. All the requisites for the installation of Sri Ram as Prince Regent are ready. The citizens as well as the people from the countryside, as also the merchants, stand at the door with joined palms. Here stands the mighty Vashishta, along with other Brahmins. Let the installation of Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, be ordered at once. Even as cattle get lost without keeper, even as an army loses its cohesion without a general, nay, even as a night forfeits its charm without the moon, and cows are unable to calve and yield milk without a bull, a state will meet with a familiar fate where the monarch is not to be seen. Hearing his aforesaid, significant submission, prefaced with words of consolation. As it were, the emperor was overcome with grief once more. Looking up towards the well-known charioteer, with his eyes reddened through grief for his son, the glorious and pious king, whose joy had ended for good, thereupon said to him, "With your words of praise uttered at this inopportune moment, indeed you are positively cutting me to the quick once more." Hearing his pathetic remark and finding the king miserable, Sumantra was tightly joined palms, slipped away to some distance from that place. When, owing to his miserable condition, the emperor could not speak himself, Kaikai, who was well versed in statecraft, replied on behalf of the emperor to Sumantra as follows. So the tradition goes. Completely exhausted due to uninterrupted wakefulness during the night, impatient as he was through jubilation over the prospect of Sri Ram's installation, the king, O Sumantra, has fallen asleep. Therefore, go quickly, O charioteer, and bring the illustrious Prince Ram here. May good betide you. No thought need to be bestowed on this. Sumantra, I should like to see Ram. Please bring the charming boy at once. And deeming Sri Ram's visit good for the king, the minister rejoiced at heart, and in obedience to the king's command, he sallied forth quickly with delight. Urged by Kaikai once more in the meantime to make haste, Sumantra thought, evidently I am goaded to bring Ram quickly with the object of seeing Ram expeditiously installed as Prince Regent, as the pious king feels fatigued on account of overexhaustion in this connection and is reluctant to move out. Arriving at this conclusion, the highly glorious charioteer Sumantra issued forth once more with great delight from the lovely gymnasium, which appeared like a pool in the sea as compared to the whole city, of which it formed only a small part. Coming out, he saw the main entrance crowded with men on the front side. Fully emerged out of the gymnasium, all of a sudden, and taking note of the official stationed at the gate, Sumantra saw citizens of various classes collected close to the door and present with abundant riches brought by offerings. Thus ends Canto 14 in the AYODHYAKAND of the glorious Ramayan of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Jai Shri Ram.